It's safe to say you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't at least familiar with The Empire Strikes Back. But I'm willing to bet one thing you don't know is Empire does not contribute to the grand legacy of science fiction movies. Because it's not a science fiction movie.
What? But the lightsabers and the spaceships! How dare you!
Well, before you get your R2-D2 branded panties in a bunch, how about we take a look at what makes science fiction science fiction? At the most basic level, science fiction explores the anxiety and consequences that result from how we interface with technology. A few staples. 2001: A Space Odyssey, where man's reliance on technology renders him so ineffective it leads the AI HAL to inherit more humanistic qualities than the actual humans, and eventually getting his own creepy death scene. In Terminator, technology is invented to better man's existence, technology which ends up hunting down and destroying that existence. In Star Wars, a society of people dependent upon technology is confronted with the ultimate superweapon, which is only defeated when the hero rejects technology and employs his humanity. If you sit and think about it, there is no technological or scientific theme like these that runs through Empire. Vader chases after Luke by way of Han and Leia, who spend the whole movie trying to evade Vader. Meanwhile, Luke plays grab-ass with Yoda on Dagobah and then leaves to rescue Han and Leia, who end up rescuing him. Again. And that's the whole movie. Sure, the whole thing takes place in a different galaxy. It's chock full of interesting aliens, spaceships, blasters, all that emblematic stuff that might hint at science fiction superficially. But the essence of science fiction isn't just about the presence of props like laser guns or the setting of outer space. It's more about how the characters interact with those elements and how the story's premise is executed around them. It turns out Empire isn't science fiction. It's a Western. There is no art form more American than the Western. The genre defined many generations of heroes and reflected the romantic self-image of America. It's probably about equal with comic books as the closest thing to mythology America has to offer.
Stand aside, Martin.
Europe has its chivalrous knights, the Far East has the Bushido samurai, we've got the American outlaw. A Western film will typically explore the romanticized American individualism myth, where the individual refuses to conform to the society he or she is an agent of.
I find myself being very cautious on the highway. I don't have the urge to speed on the highway.
If I say Western, it likely conjures an image of the post-Civil War frontier. Guys wearing hats, riding horses, expansive vistas, dust. But that's just the setting. There's a hell of a lot more to any genre than that. But it's a good start. Empire is set on the frontier of their far, far away galaxy. They never encounter big cities or large populations of people.
Where are we?
The NOAD system.
The NOAD system, there's not much there.
Both Western and science fiction films can rely heavily on striking visuals to set a tone and communicate emotions. Whether you're staring out at an endless desert or the endless vacuum of space, the effect is remarkably similar. Desolation and fear of the unknown are common themes and aren't always conveyed with just sweeping landscapes or spacescapes. They'll use the stark imagery of hallways, Dagobah, the calm before the storm, the actual storm. Westerns and Empire do a great job in painting their villains as unmistakably evil and subhuman. The biggest difference being that in Empire, the villainy is represented by stuffy British dudes and soldiers in plastic costumes, while in Westerns it's represented by a laughably racist stereotype of Native Americans. Not really one of film's greatest moments, but it happened. A lot. In true science fiction, it's very rare to encounter a defined line between good and evil throughout the entire film. Sometimes it's the main character's flaws that drive the story, or maybe a slow descent into darkness.
Klingon bastard, you've killed my son.
This is definitely not the case with most Westerns. Characteristically, there's an unquestionably distinct line between good and evil from the get-go. The white hats being the paradigm of virtue, and the black hats being the unmistakable villain. Over the course of the entire film, the white and black hat are established morally as opposing reflections of each other. Then it slowly builds to the final one-on-one confrontation. You won't find a film more unadulterated or prototypically Western than John Ford's Stagecoach from 1939. It may look a little long in the tooth, but it's shockingly and perhaps suspiciously similar to a strong majority of the story beats in Empire Strikes Back. The characters in Stagecoach aren't perfect one-to-one comparisons to their counterparts in Empire, but the similarities might make your ears perk up.
What's good for the banks is good for the country.
The Ringo Kid is an outlaw with a good heart who takes a liking to the strong female of the group.
I watched you with that baby.
Han Solo is an outlaw with a good heart who takes a liking to the strong female of the group.
Come on.
Dallas, the intelligent, strong female who's good in a crisis, has a soft spot for outlaws, and happens to be a prostitute. Leia Organa,
That's right.
the intelligent, strong female who's good in a crisis, has a soft spot for outlaws,
I love you.
and happens to be a prostitute. The trusted pilot,
Well, if the soldiers go back, so am I.
and the trusted pilot. Hatfield gallantly offers to protect Mrs. Mallory.
I'm offering my protection to this lady.
Han gallantly offers to protect Leia.
I'll get her out on the Falcon.
The introduction of the Ringo Kid.
Whoa, steady, ho.
The introduction of Luke. The Stagecoach alone in danger. The Falcon alone in danger. The Stagecoach detours through snow to evade the Apache. The Falcon detours through an asteroid to evade the Empire.
Be crazy to follow us, wouldn't they?
Hatfield won the Silver Cup in a bet.
Won this cup on a wager.
Han won the Falcon in a bet.
Remember, you lost her to me fair and square.
Dallas takes charge of the situation.
Ringo, go in the kitchen and get some hot water. Lots of hot water.
Leia takes charge of the situation.
Send all troops from Sector 12 to the South Slope to protect the fighter.
The Stagecoach's safe harbor is betrayed at the outpost. The Falcon's safe harbor is betrayed at Bespin. Ringo makes a move on Dallas. Han makes a move on Leia.
Because I'm a scoundrel.
Ringo ignores warnings from Dallas to not fight.
Forget Lordsburg.
Luke ignores warnings from Yoda to not fight.
If you choose to face Vader, you will do it alone.
Gatewood is a giant pussy.
Let's make a break for it.
C-3PO is a giant pussy.
Surrender is a perfectly acceptable alternative.
Hatfield dies nobly.
Tell him his
Han is frozen in carbonite nobly. Plumber poised for action in shadow. Vader poised for action in shadow. There's only one black guy in Stagecoach. There's only one black guy in Empire. Geronimo searches for the white people. Vader searches for the rebels. So the final question is, did Irving Kershner and Lawrence Kasdan intentionally draw inspiration from the Western genre, or was it just subconscious influence? That's a question we'll never know the answer to. But there's no question they pushed American cinema forward to an unprecedented degree using the cinematic language of the Western, by launching it into a galaxy far, far away. And if you look at the popular movies these days, it seems Americans prefer the romantic image of America to be portrayed no longer on the Western frontier, but the final frontier.